very cathartic. Like I just want to go around and hit people now. It's like it's funny because the first couple of times I couldn't really do it. He's like, no, really smack it. And I'm like, boom. And finally, he said, do it 30 times. I'm like, bam, 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 bam. I'm like, now everybody's afraid of me at LA Fitness. Thank you for being here today. So y'all just disobeyed me anyway, didn't you? I told you don't schlep stuff in here, and you schlepped anyway. What? Y'all just saying it because of my birthday. Really?
You're a little flushed. Honored but flushed.
When it's your birthday and you're thinking, dear God, another year, really? I'll take it. You can say anything to me today. I'll be fine. Oh, Lordy. Y'all stop. Stop. Seriously. That's enough. Ms. V, you were hysterical last night. The hoe is at the dough. That's too funny. Ms. V needs to get saved now. I got her on the prayer chain. Oh, it's so funny. Sometimes I want to talk to you about how they came up with that character, like how they cast her. If y'all haven't seen the new season of Tyler Perry's For Better or Worse has started. The first time I saw Miss V on there, honestly, if I didn't know it was Chandra, she's such a good actress. It's not just the wig and everything. It's like she really becomes this older, nosy woman that's a hoot that will just say anything. I looked at it a couple minutes and said, "Oh my God, that is Chandra." Wow. You even snuck in a couple of riffs of singing lessons. I saw you. I heard. Did they know you were going to do that? It was good. I was like, "Well, Miss V can sing." It was like, "No, Chandra could sing. Y'all better recognize on the OWN network." All right. We're in agreement for today. Thank you for being here. It's a great day to be alive, and I've had an interesting week, but I'm glad I lived to see another year. So it's good. It certainly beats the alternative. Go ahead and run this, and we'll officially get started. Good morning. Welcome to Metron. Buenos dias. Bonjour. Willkommen. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad that you're here. I think you've met everybody. If you're here for the first time, we want to welcome you. Welcome our streamers. I hope you found the address to log on this morning. I don't know why, but it's a different place you have to click on every week. It's just the way it works out. So it's kind of like a cool scavenger hunt. Where are they this week? But started Metron and had of doing an artist of the month. The wanted to help me start this was Shonda Corelli, and there's not much more I can say about her talent that I haven't already said. I think you all know how much. I'm not. I wouldn't even call myself a fan. I'm something else. It's like I'm just blown away by what she can do, and so appreciative that she and Larry and Agape have been in our lives for these years now. It means a lot to me. sitting in this very theater some years ago watching, with a packed house, watching Diary of a Mad Black Woman. And when her scene came up, I was telling the woman next to me, I said, "Excuse me, that I know that woman." And she said, "Okay." I said, "No, I pastor a church. She goes to my church. She and her husband and her family." She said, "Okay," like, and I said, "No, seriously. I mean, she's real. I don't. She's like, she sings at my church." And so the lady called security and they took me out. And so I never saw the second half of the movie, but no, that's not true. I did talk about it in the movie. And when I was starting Metron, she called me. She explained to me what it is that you're doing, because they were involved in church in the now for a long time. And I explained to her. She said, "I got it. I'm in. Sign me up." And anytime I've needed her, it's becoming increasingly difficult to find an opening in her schedule. Thank you very much. But if she can, she always helps us out, and I'm so happy, especially today. She brings a strength that I personally need today. And so without any further ado, would you please welcome our friend, our sister, the one and only Chandra Corelli.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm going to let my music speak for me today. As I think about it, there's never been a time when I needed the bishop that he wasn't there. I think this is surely appropriate. Again, I came through, but not without you. You paved the way for a brighter day. I didn't have to worry, I didn't have to stress. I just believed, and you did the rest. It's not about what I can do, but all the things I get from you to keep me safe from day to day. At night as I lay, you cover all the things not right. You keep them from my very sight, because you love me. No matter what, you're always there. The times when I get weak, needing you to speak, you never let me down. You always know what's inside. You know when I get tired and I can't go on. It's you. Yes, it's you. I'm with you, yes. At night. Yeah, all because you love me. No matter what, you're always there. Things that look so big now seem small to me. You gave me the strength, no matter how it ends. I can count on you. Nothing just happens. You're always there. Yeah. Loading on my number. Yes, I know, yes. No matter what, you're always there. What I can do, but all the things I get from you, they keep me safe from day to day. Oh, we load up on my little if we I can be a guest. Oh, I can see clearer now. Oh, because of you. Oh, to see, yeah, no matter what. Let on bon day, gonna song but a day, read it on pong, but on day, but on free. Here, don't say about the the body get all that, yeah, oh, yes. I just love the fact that it's Bishop's birthday and I get to sing. I was like, look at the God's timing. Couldn't have been any better. So, you know, since it's a party, am I right? It's a celebration. I need you to get up. The rest of this is all about a party. You can start it. Yes. Put your hands together. Woo. Yeah. What was I thinking? Not meaning what I said. Knowing you know everything that's going on in my head. There's no need to hide or ask the reason why. 'Cause I know my every thought belongs to you. There's no fooling you. You're not like the rest. With you there are no secrets. No matter where I've been, you know there's no end. There's no secrets. There's no secrets. Nothing I can say. Nothing I can do that could ever happen. That could never get to you. You know what's in my heart. No matter how far apart. I know there's no games when it comes to you. There's no fooling you. You're not like the rest. With you there are no secrets. No matter where I've been, you know there's no end. There's no secrets. There's no secrets. Nobody knows me like you. Nobody knows me like you know me. Oh no. No matter how deep it is, you still love me. I know I can make it without you being right there to care. Oh no. There's no fooling you. You're not like the rest. With you there are no secrets. No matter where I've been, you know there's no end. There's no secrets. There's no secrets. Ooh. There's no my life has been good. I've been doing to my mind. All of the time. Oh yes. You're not like the rest. With you there are no secrets. No matter where I've been, just know there's no end. There's no secrets. There's just take a look. I'm a oh, let's take a look to an open book. Nobody knows me like you. Oh, there's no fooling you. I know, ain't no secrets. Oh, no, no secrets. There's no secret. Oh, I can have you. I can't hide it. I can hide it. Oh, the way I feel. I can't hide it. Oh, no, from you. Yeah. Oh, there's no secret. No secret. Oh, me and you. Oh, me and you, yeah. Oh, you're not like the rest with you. Oh, I can tell. I can tell. Oh, no. There's no. Hey. That's right. You hide it from mama and them, auntie and them. But you can't hide it from God. Put your hands together, yes. Woo. That's why we're celebrating Bishop's birthday, because it's about what we're doing now, down here on earth. One thing or another. But I'm standing on solid ground down here. Oh, talking about right here, down here. If I work here on your behalf, you'll give a love that forever lasts down here. Oh, talking about right here, down here. Y'all know what I'm saying. I'll be the light. I'll get it right. I'll fight the fight, 'cause that's the price down here, yes. Right here, down here. Uh-huh. Who had the chance, but didn't do me right. Oh, but to forgive, I will win the fight down here. Whoa, right here, down here. Woo. You see what I'm saying? I've got to be that everlasting light. I've got to treat it down here. Whoa, right here, down here. You see what you gotta do? I'll be the light. I'll get it right. What you do? I fight the fight, 'cause that's the price down here, yes. Right here, down here. You're giving me all that I need to see the light of day, yes. I'll be the to be there for you, to show me a higher way. Oh, ah, woo! I'll get it right. I'll fight the fight, 'cause that's the prize. Right here, down here. Hey, you're giving me all that I need to see the light of day, yes. I have to know to be there for you, to show me a higher way. Oh, on here, on earth. salt and light, salt, light, salt and light, salt and light, salt, salt and light.
Shonda Corelli. I love you. You've got something coming up over. Are you part of the jazz festival? What is it that?
To the mayor. But April, we'll do the announcements.
Okay,
and I can tell everybody.
okay. Never mind.
But,
Just go to her web.
you family.
Extraordinary as always. I'm just going to exhort you for a few minutes, and then I guess we're having a party. I told you not to, but we're doing it anyway. So what are you going to do? Huh? I don't really have a theme for this month yet. I don't know what our outreach is. I don't have an outline. I don't have a title. And that's why I texted the tech team yesterday. I said, I'm not even sure. I don't even know if I'm going to stream tomorrow. And there was even some discussion about possibly not even having service today. The reason I don't like to do that, though, is if people ever think you've canceled, then it just does something to they don't know that you're there all the time. So it's really, that's why even back in the day when we used to have snow days or whatever, I just schlep over there and show up anyway, because I just know to be successful, people have to know that you're always going to be there. And so, and I'm already glad that we did. And so it's good to see you guys. And it's funny how people perceive things. I didn't want to post about this because I haven't even been on Facebook this week, but somebody and if you're watching, I don't remember your name, so don't be offended, but somebody actually on the Metron page that says Metron at Landmarks Cinema actually inboxed me and said, is Church in the Now still in Covington? What time are the services? I thought, are you serious? I mean, you're on the page. I mean, I'd let you slide if it was on Jim Swilley page, but just look at the title of there's like pictures of me in a theater and lots of people in the theater. And it's just amazing how people perceive things. I didn't even have a challenge for next week, but I did want, for some reason while Sean was singing, this did sort of come to me, and I think I'm going to just put it out there. When we talk about living your best life, and last week was cardio. We'd have a whole lot of participants in the cardio, and cardio separates the sheep from the goats, Jesus. But we did a little bit. I think that was, Avery, were you running up the stairs? Is that what that is? And that's me, my trainer, and there's Tony doing that whatever they call those heavy balls. They used to call them medicine balls, but I'm not sure they call them that now. But woo, that'll wear you out with that heavy thing. You don't even realize how. I don't know what. BJ, what were you doing? What was that? What was? Oh, that was I did my cardio. Okay, I should have been able to read. It's good. Cardio is really good for you for a lot of reasons, not just for weight loss, but for a lot of reasons. I think Lana, I even saw you had posted something, I believe. Appreciate that. Always glad to see Lana Turner back there. This is kind of an abstract one, but this is what I feel impressed to is do something this week that changes your line of sight. In other words, the things that you look at every day, it may be something as simple as turn the couch around or get a different haircut or just something. There's something about looking at something differently that you look at all the time. They've proven that opens up, it redirects neural paths in your brain. So I don't, like I said, that you're gonna have to use your creativity on that. It could be like it, if you have an office, do something different on your desk, change it around, just do something that changes. I don't know how we can say that. Something that changes your, well, paradigm though, that may be, I want it to be specific. Ultimately, it does change your paradigm. I'm talking about specifically though your line of sight, like what you look at every day. So we'll figure out a way to actually uh, uh, say, but yes, it is about a paradigm shift. Yes, um, but I'll have info on the other stuff for next week. And Chandra will be with us all month. And like I told you, John Scott will be here on the 24th as well. He's also going to come in and do some worship for us. So that's going to be good. But I do want to share just a exhortation with you. And I hadn't planned on it. But you know, I'm called to teach, and teaching is always cathartic for me. Even when I don't feel like doing it, it always is the right thing for me to do. And this is all I want to. I could extend this into a series this month, but I think I may have even used this as a title before. But this is what's in my spirit today, and I wrote some notes down, but this morning, but I think I can remember what I was going to say. You know, in Matthew chapter 6, that's where Jesus gives the whole thing about the kingdom of God, where he says, seek first the kingdom. And he talks about a lot of things. He talks about changing the way that you look at money. Remember, he says you can't serve God and mammon. And if you're concerned about what you're going to eat or what you're going to wear, go consider the lilies. And it's all about, it really is the kind of the ultimate teaching on what repentance actually is. Repentance isn't feeling horrible about yourself. Repentance is just changing the way that changing your life by changing the way you see things. And in verse 22 there, he says, in the King James, he says, the light of the body is the eye. And that's, if I were going to have a title today, that would be the title. The light of the body is the eye. And he says, if King James says, if your eye be single, your whole body be filled with light. Now, I've referred to that verse a lot. You know, I've used it a lot out of the Caboris manuscript, where he says the light of life is perception. And if your perception is right, your entire life will be illuminated. And, you know, we've talked everything from quantum physics and the observer effect, and about how we're really creating our reality by how we perceive reality. But I've been specifically thinking about it this week, and I don't want to give too much information. I sure don't want to bring the room down. But I really, without sounding dramatic, I really suffered kind of a heartbreak this week. And it's not me and Kit and I are fine. But it was something really, it was heartbreaking. There's not another word for it. And it's taken me, it's taken me a few days to get back on my feet. And Ken was on call this week, so I was just by myself a lot this week, and it was fine. It enabled me to process some things, and I'm still not through it. I'm still, as Michelle, as your message was, I'm still kind of in the heart of the earth today, but I'll be back after 3 days. But the reason I even want to mention it is it's made me even that much more aware of how important perception is. Let me explain to you why I'm even talking about Matthew 6:22. I don't believe that I have any problem ever apologizing for something. That's not, if you have like, my dad's a good man, full of integrity, whatever, but he was raised in that generation where, his father taught them that you don't ever admit you're wrong. Never. You never, because in their minds, their definition of manliness was a man's word is his bond. So once you put it out there, you don't ever retract it. That's it. If you have a father that's from that generation, they probably were kind of the same. If you had a dad that sort of grew up during the Depression or whatever, they probably weren't big on the apologies. I know that there are some people that, like, they'll find actually say, I'm sorry, I was wrong about something. You know, age in late 60s, early 70s, whatever, where, you know, the definition of manhood was changing. And you know, I grew up with the Alan Aldas of the world who were, you know, they were heterosexual, but they were in touch with their feminine side. And it was much about feelings. And, you know, men of my generation found it much easier. Like their definition of manhood wasn't never say you're sorry. It's just different. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Y'all with me? And the reason I'm saying it is a situation happened with me this week with people extremely close to me who clearly have a different perception of reality than I do. And I'm not throwing them under the bus. I'm trying to figure out how can somebody be that close to you and see a situation so completely different. It's made me, bottom line is, it's made me realize how much more we need to understand about perception. Because, and here's my point, if you confront me about something and I know I'm wrong about it, it's no problem to me to say, oh my God, I didn't even see that, but you're right. I was wrong about that. My bad, you know, forgive me. And, you know, I believe in redemption. I'm ready to get past it and get, if, however, you confront me about something that I just don't see it that way, that's the ethical dilemma. Is like, how do I, if I apologize for this, it's like I'm admitting that what you're saying is true and I don't believe it's true. Y'all with me? So it's made me examine, how is it then that people can see something so completely different? This is something I do. He's on call 1 month out of every week. And, you know, I'm a cinephile. If you don't know what that is, Bishop said he's a sinner. No, I said I'm a cinephile. Cinephile. It means you're someone who studies filmmaking or you appreciate the cinema. And my favorite thing to do when I'm by myself is to go, not just any movie, but if they're especially classic movies that I grew up with that are sort of repackaged. And like, I don't know if you know what the Criterion collection is, but it's all these sort of classic movies that are on Blu-ray and they're way overpriced. But they sort of rethink these movies. And so if you buy them, they'll be like sometimes 30, 40 bucks for a DVD. But with it comes like all kind of director's cuts and director's commentary. And I'm fascinated with that stuff. And I like to do it by myself because I don't want to make Ken sit through it. He would do it without complaining, but I know it's not really his thing. And that's kind of my cue. When I'm by myself, I go to Barnes and Noble and I look at the Criterion collection and I go back and find movies that that have been a part of my consciousness my whole life. And I want to go back and really examine them. I want to look at them under a microscope. But I've had people tell me for years, like, wow, I never would have, how do you see that in a movie? Well, I've trained myself to look for things in a movie because I've watched so many of these directors' commentaries. I'm like, oh, that's why they shot it that way. And that's like, for instance, this week, 2 movies from decades ago. I'm a big Dustin Hoffman fan, and I got The Graduate. And yes, I know it's about an older woman having an affair with a young man, but it's really not about that. It's about much more than that. It's about people who are coming to age in the 60s, not wanting to become part of their parents' generation. And I also got All the President's Men, which came out in '74, I believe. And it's the true story of Woodward and Bernstein and the Washington Post and how they sort of exposed the Watergate scandal. And both are very interesting, especially The Graduate, because Mike Nichols was this amazing director. And so I really love his commentary. And this particular DVD they had a professor from a film school go through it frame by frame, and you're like, Bishop, that's pretty intense. Well, as Ernie loves sports, that's how I love cinema. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's some people that think, how could you possibly be that interested? But I'm sure they look at me and think, how could you possibly be that interested? So to each his own. Like, for instance, and I know I'm talking about adultery here, but indulge me. Like, I had never noticed this as many times as I've seen it, that the woman who designed the costumes for it, every time you saw Mrs. Robinson, she was always in an animal print. I never noticed that before. I was just thinking, well, that's the way women dressed in the 60s. But the point is that she was, they didn't use the word cougar back then, but she was the seductress. She was, and nearly always they would shoot her somewhat with plants behind her so that it was supposed to subliminally create the illusion that she was the huntress who was, well, that's fascinating. I'm like, wow, how did I never notice that before? And then they even got real psychological, and the guy would show frame by frame, notice how many times his mother's wardrobe would in some ways reflect Mrs. Robinson. So it brings up this whole Oedipus thing. And I was like, wow, I would have never seen that. And just about why they frame a shot the way they do and why someone's in the foreground or whatever. I find that fascinating. So it makes me look at something I've looked at hundreds of times. If I like a movie, I just watch it. There's certain movies, if they're on TV, I'll end up, I can't not watch them again. I'll just watch them again. I don't know what it is. I don't feel that way about every movie, but there's some movies that if it's on, I'm going to watch it again. I just enjoy when somebody says, hadn't you seen that before? Well, yeah, I've eaten fried chicken before too. And that doesn't mean I'm never going to eat it again. It means it's something that I enjoy. Some movies I've seen so many times, I haven't even timed out like, oh, I got time to go to the bathroom and come back because I don't like this part. But like I'll be brushing my teeth. I'm like, here it comes, my favorite line. Oh, I love that. Yeah, just there's certain lines I just love. Like in The Sound of Music when the captain says to the Nazi guy, he says, I'm sure he didn't say Third Reich. There was another word they used. He said, when they set up, you'll be leading the band or something. And the guy said, he said, you flatter me, Captain. He said, oh, how clumsy of me. I meant to accuse you. I love that line. Like I'll rewind it like, oh, that line makes me so happy. How clumsy of me. I meant to accuse you. That's just, I love that line. Because I love words, and I just, there's certain lines that I like, they just give me great joy. And then when you find out, like in The Graduate, there's a scene where the writer Buck Henry actually wrote the screenplay, and this was not in the novel, he put it in, and it's become sort of the definitive word from the movie, is when Ben Braddock is at this party that his parents throw for him when he first gets out of college. And this guy, all these people are asking him, what are you going to do with your life? What are you going to do with your life? And that's the big thesis of the story, is like, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do with my life. I got out of college and now what? The affair with Mrs. Robinson was sort of metaphorical of a bigger dilemma in his life. But it's just this great line because this guy takes him outside. He said, I got one word to say to you. Are you listening? He goes, yes, sir, I'm listening. He said, you listening? And he said, yes. This word's going to change your future. He said, okay. And he goes, plastics. And did you get that? Like, yes, sir. And it's a great word because that was symbolic of the whole 60s thing, is the older generation is plastic and I don't want to become a part of it. Anyway, words are important. Words change things. Jesus said to the woman, for this saying, your daughter is made well. So I've been thinking a lot about how we learn to see things. Like now, if I ever watch The Graduate, I'll see it very differently than I saw it before, because I learned all these other things that I didn't see, which is why it's obnoxious to watch a movie with me, because if I know all this stuff, I'm going to tell you. Isn't that right? I'm constantly pausing and going, I know you don't want to hear this, which he says he loves it, but it's a lie. It's a sweet lie. He says he's learning to. Well, when we did meet, I said, I'm going to show you if you've never seen these movies, you have to see them. And if you don't like them, I need to know now, because we'll never work out. Before we get any more invested in each other, I need to know, because if you don't like this movie, there's no hope of a future with us. How's that for pressure? But there's certain things that, people can tell you about things that they think and feel, whatever you think. Well, if you think that, I don't know how can we have a relationship? Because clearly you see the world very differently, you know? And um, so I've been thinking about you have to learn how to see things. In Vogue had that song called Free Your Mind and the Rest Will Follow. That's really a very powerful lyric. And it said the bridge says, why, oh, why must it be this way? Um, before you can read me, you've got to learn how to see me. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Before you can know somebody, you have to learn how to see them. Now, this is something you mentioned, paradigm shift a minute ago. That's, if you ever read the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, or effective people. Effective people, is that? He was, Stephen Covey was kind of the one that brought the word paradigm shift into the lexicon, because remember he tells that story in the beginning about how he gets on a train and a man gets on the train with him. He's got all these kids, and the kids are like savages running up and down the corridors, and the man's just got his eyes closed and his head leaning back, and he's oblivious to it. So he said, I finally went over to the man and said, sir, I'm sorry to bother you, but can you do something about your kids? They're grabbing newspapers out of people's hands and going crazy. And the guy opens his eyes. He says, oh, I'm sorry. He said, their mother just died about half an hour ago, and we just came from the hospital, and they're kind of in shock. And he said, immediately when he told me that, I saw the situation differently and went from thinking, why doesn't this guy do something about his kids, to, oh my God, what can I do to help? And so that, I've taught on that. I've used that analogy a zillion times. What I'm specifically thinking about this weekend, this is how I deal with personal crises. If I can learn from it, I'll be okay. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, even if it's something very painful, if I can learn from it, I'll get better, and I'll incorporate even a heartbreaking situation into my education. Like, okay, well, that was a very painful lesson, but this is what I learned. So what I am learning this week is, wow, people even really, really close to you can see a situation entirely differently. And so to even be able to reconcile with somebody, you've got to be realistic about how much you can even do that. Like in Matthew 18, where Jesus said, if you have an offense with somebody, go to them. And, he goes that whole thing. And he said, if they don't receive you, take a brother with you. And if they don't receive you, bring them before the church. And then he says, if they don't receive that, then basically he says, move on. He says, treat them like a heathen. But what he's saying is you're beating a dead horse here. They're basically not going to see your point. And that's a very sobering yet liberating revelation, when you realize there are some good people who love you, whatever, they are just not going to see the world the way that you see it. So you can talk forever. You can explain your point or whatever. You're still not going to pull the apology out of them that you need, because they don't see what you're seeing. You ever need an apology from somebody and you get something like, I'm sorry you were upset by that. You're like, no, that's not what I wanted you to say. I want you to get why you hurt me and why you hurt me. And then, it's like, well, I'm sorry that you're so sensitive. Like, oh, that's not it. And you're making the situation worse now, because now I realize, oh my God, we're not only not looking through the same window, we're not even in the same house. So that's relationships 101. But on a larger context, I was thinking about, all right, if life is how we see it and we have to learn how to see it, one of my favorite things that I hear from people, it's like the greatest confirmation of my life. And I don't know what setting I've got my page on, but for some reason, like if you post something on my timeline today that has a picture on it or a video, it will post on my timeline. Otherwise, it goes to that activity log. I don't know. I've got something like, I was just looking like 300 things on my activity log. I've got to go over there and look at it because it's not going to my timeline page. I don't know. It was really, when that happened last night, it was kind of like the cherry on the cake of my really rotten week. Like, seriously, I can't even see the birthday greetings. Like, are you kidding me? Anyway, I have to go to activity log and I can't respond to them. But several people had written, the ones I have read, would say things like, thank you for teaching me how to see life. Thank you for teaching me, like I would have never gotten through the situation if you hadn't taught me how to look at it or whatever. That's extremely gratifying to me. Because I know if you can teach somebody how to see things the right way, they'll be okay. Which made me think about first chapter of Genesis, whether it's literal or not, the point of the story is still true. That God not only speaks everything into existence, but then he says something about his creation. And it says it on more than one occasion there in Genesis, but it says God looked at everything he created and he what? Saw that it was good. He saw that it was good. He chose to see it a certain way. Now, again, you know I've taught on this a zillion times. Jesus goes into his hometown, can't do any miracles because they don't see him as the miracle worker. They see him as, is not this Joseph the carpenter's son. And once they were locked into that paradigm, he could perform miracles right in front of him and they weren't moved by it. He did miracles in front of the Pharisees and they were like, so because they were locked in, their prejudice had given them a particular paradigm and they could not see it that way. So interesting when and I guess that's why I'm saying this about a challenge this week, when you've looked at things a certain way for so long, and that's the only way that you can see them. That's why repentance and mind renewal is so important, because until you see yourself differently, you're locked into your own vision of yourself. You keep recreating yourself. You keep looking at what you've created and you don't see that it's good. You see that it's negative, and you look at some of these. I'm not against plastic surgery, and if that's what you need and you got the money for it, knock yourself out. But then you look at some of these people that clearly have just gone too far. I mean, Michael Jackson, at a certain point at the end of his life, it really became just sad, because you're like, dear God, do you not realize how much the world adores you like you are? Like, stop messing with it. Because there was, I was watching something this week. I think Spike Lee did a thing. It was on Showtime about Off the Wall album and how much it affected so many. It was really interesting. And so they're showing clips of Michael at that thing. You're like, just stop right there. You look great. Just right there. You were fine. Just leave it alone. Leave your nose alone. Leave it, it's fine if you want to tweak something a little bit, but just stop. And then fast forward 20 years, like, oh, dude, you didn't stop. But the issue is that people don't see themselves the way other people see them. The one that really shocked me was when Larry King used to be on. He was doing a show about plastic surgery. And he was talking specifically, this is when Michael Jackson was still alive. He was talking about, why would a man like Michael Jackson be so obsessed with plastic surgery and just kind of take it too far? And he says, he actually said, we have Cher on the line. Now, Cher kind of looks entirely different than she did when she was with Sonny. So I'm thinking, Cher's going to defend him. Oh, no. And this shows you again about perception, how people don't see themselves. He said, Cher, why would a man like Michael Jackson do so much extensive plastic surgery? She's like, I don't know, Larry. I don't know why he would do it. It's really sad. And I'm like, Cher, hello, pot. This is the kettle. You're black. Like, what, seriously? Yeah. Sherry, you're just about 3 surgeries short of Michael. You know, if anything, you need to be supportive and say, you know, some of us are working through inner issues. Or, you know, maybe people are bored and they got money and they just keep tweaking stuff. I don't know. What I'm saying is that if you don't see yourself beautiful, you can do everything you in the world do it. You're still not going to believe it. People are they're going to say something to you, and you're still, you may even say thank you, but you don't really believe it. So it gets back to perception. How do you perceive yourself? I know I'm making a zillion show business references, but this is the world we live in. And I've used this analogy before, but somebody asked Bette Midler in an interview, why did you have so much confidence when you started? And she said, you really want to know? She said, I grew up in a house that we had one mirror, just one mirror between me and my sister. I think she had 2 sisters. She was a full-length mirror, and it was cracked. And the way it was cracked, when I looked at it, it made me look like I was this tall, thin, sort of Las Vegas showgirl looking woman. And she said, all my teenage years, I swear that's how I thought I looked. And so once I got to New York or on the stage and they started filming me, I realized, oh my God, I'm a fat little Jewish woman. So I had no idea. She said, in my head, I'm thinking, I'm a leggy showgirl. And, but she said, somehow, as crazy as it sounds, that's still how I think I look when I go on the stage. So I've just learned how to make it work for me. And I thought, wow, that's so interesting about how people see themselves. That's something that couldn't be fixed through plastic surgery. You know, even Jesus said, how many of you by worrying can add a cubit to your stature? In other words, if you want to be taller, like I remember in the 70s, guys wore those platform shoes. I used to get them at Flag Brothers at North Lake Mall. I mean, in the 70s, I was 6'4". Like I wish I could find them now, but I would take pictures with my parents when I wear this, and I am towering over them. I mean, like my parents look like little people compared to me. And I think, why was I so tall? Oh, because I was wearing shoes this tall. And I loved being that tall. Loved it. But that's the only way you can change it. You know, they used to sell those, I guess they still sell them, those lifts in men's shoes. But that's good. Listen, I bought them one time. All it does is make your shoes really uncomfortable. It doesn't make you appear taller. In other words, there's some things that can't be fixed. You can lose weight, you can do whatever, but there's some things, I mean, that's how you look. And you might as well make peace with it. You might as well look at it like God looked at his creation and said, it is good. This is what I want to leave you with today, because this message is somewhat of a work in progress. But what I want to leave with you is, and I'm sure I've said it before, but God is who you see that he is. Jesus asked the disciples, well, who do men say that I am? And he didn't argue with any of them. He didn't say, I can't believe somebody would think I was Elijah. I can't believe somebody would think I was John the Baptist. He was saying, okay, that's how they see me. To them, that's who I am. And then he says, well, who do you say that I am? Remember, and Peter says, well, I say you're the Christ. All right, well, flesh and blood hasn't revealed this to you. This is a spiritual perception. So when people talk, and like in a political year especially, isn't it amazing how people can, you listen to who's following what candidate, and you think, how can you see the world that way? I mean, it's amazing. I'll read things that people that sat under my ministry for years at Church of the Now, I'll see them post things on Facebook, and I think, well, clearly I never had any influence on your thinking whatsoever. I mean, it must have been just an absolute waste of time. Not that I was enforcing politics or whatever, but there are certain things, like certain basic things. I think, how do you not, my God, how do you not see that? That's so obvious. Like I was telling you the other day, I'm amazed that white people got upset with the concept of Black Lives Matter. Why is that a problem? When I first read about the Black Lives Matter, I read those 3 words and I got it. And I didn't for a minute think, white lives matter. That didn't even occur to me, because I think we've pretty much settled on that. I think everybody pretty much knows. Like when somebody says, there's white privilege, I'm like, yeah, there probably is. And it's the system I was born into. And, I do what I can to work around it. But yeah, there probably is white privilege. There probably is male privilege. There probably is. So, I don't even remember what we were talking about this week. Avery and I were talking about something about thank God Governor Deal didn't sign thank you, because it's so unnecessary. But pardon me for sounding like Gloria Steinem here, but of all the minorities, whatever, it does seem to me that historically, through the entire history of time, women have the most to be really ticked off about. It's amazing, the things that women have to put up with. There was a great line on Will and Grace one time where the two main characters were talking something about victimization, and Grace said to him, she said, are you really going to play the gay card? Because if you play the gay card, I'm going to play the girl card, and girl card trumps gay card every time. and there probably is some truth to that. So if I was going to break this down into 3 points, I would say God is who you see that he is. For people that believe in the judgmental God that's destroying the earth, you can find him. You can find that God in the Bible. You can make that case for yourself. There's plenty of scriptures. If that's the God you want to see, then you will see that God and you will manifest that God. It was interesting. My friend Doug Wentz, who lives in Alabama, I need to have him come speak sometime because he's just brilliant. And I don't throw that word around very much, but he posted something a few weeks ago, and I didn't know this, but it didn't surprise me. Several bishops had gotten together on like a TV show, and they had just trashed Carlton Pearson, just trashed him about how he's bringing deception into the church, and he does not raising up a standard. They just demolished him, and he went down the line that every one of them was caught in a sex scandal, every one of them. And it was interesting because they said that here these are the guys that are talking about holiness, and we've got if you take hell away, people are going to live recklessly. And he said every one of them went to jail for drug trafficking and whatever. And you're like, wow, that so makes the point. When Paul said the strength of sin is the law. If that's the God you want, you can find that God, you can create that God, and you can bring that kind of wrath into your life. I'm not saying that God's not real, but for a lot of what is manifested as God is really our creation. It's not, God saying, let us make man in our image. It's us. Well, Ralph said that the other day. It's Elohim. We create God in our image. And that's why I love that Anne Lamott quote that says, it's pretty evident that if God hates all the same people you hate, that you've successfully created God in your own image. And I thought, wow, that's it. That's religion. And secondly, life is what you see it is. And, I know that sounds like a meme on Pinterest. Life is what you see it is, but it really is. And if God looked at his creation and his idea was it's good, and he did not see it through the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. I'm choosing this thing. I will get through this thing. I'm still in the middle of it. I will get through it because I'm not going to look at it through the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It will have to turn out good. It will have to serve me. I will have to learn from it. And I'm going to have to believe my relationship with the other two parties will be stronger because they're going to have to be. These are people in my life. I can't, there's some people you can move on from. I can't move on from these two. So we'll somehow, I don't know how, as of this morning, we will somehow get past it, but it's made me aware of, don't take for granted that people see reality the way that you see it. Is this resonating with anybody? Have you ever had somebody come at you with something and they've got an issue and you're so shocked? I was like, I did some hospital visitation this week. I went to see, Kevin. He had a heart attack. I went out to see him. He's fine. He's home now. Went out to Rockdale to see him. And while I was out, I thought, Lindsay Pettit's in the hospital until the twins come. So I thought, you know what? I'm already in hospital visitation mode, and I'm dressed up. I'm in preacher drag, so I'll go see Lindsay. So I'm having Lindsay's like a daughter to me. We're laughing and we're having, we're telling funny labor and delivery stories, whatever. And while we're talking, I look at this first of several texts I got this week, and I just read a few lines and it so floored me that I was like, Lindsay, I pray now. I was just like, let's, in Jesus' name. Like, I was the craziest prayer I've ever prayed, because the whole time I'm like, what the hell? So I'm praying a prayer with her, but I'm like, well, I had no idea this issue was going on. Like, if you had asked me before this text, are you and this person okay? I'd be like, we're so okay. And then you read this text, you're like, wow, was I seeing? And when you get some of those, when somebody starts regurgitating their issues with you and you poke a little bit and it turns out so much worse than the first one, like with every more other text that comes out, you're like, holy, somebody take this phone away from me. Like, what? And I'm just like, just shocked. So I'm trying to turn this into a lesson. Like, wow, people really have different perceptions of reality. So how do you reconcile with somebody who sees you a certain way? And how are you gonna read me until you learn how to see me? And there are certain things, like if you even think that's the way I was thinking about you, then have you ever met me? I mean, that's not even in my thinking, but clearly it was in yours. So, wow, I'm going to have to try to figure out, how do we reconcile these two complete different paradigms? We're in different solar systems on this. And so God is who you see that he is. Life is what you see that it is. And you are who you see that you are. Bishop, I know you've taught on this before. Well, apparently I need to teach on it some more, because I've seen a whole other area that I was listening to people being interviewed this week, and this is an apolitical statement, but the whole Donald Trump phenomena is, no matter what you agree with or disagree with, you can't, at least for me, I can't help but watch it. Like if he's on TV, I'm like, dear God, what's he said now? I mean, I'm like, I'm watching it with that in mind. But they're interviewing people who say, no, I disagree with virtually everything he says, but I'm concerned about the security of the country, and I believe he's the only one that's going to protect us. So if that's their paradigm, they're locked into that, and it doesn't matter what he says about abortion or about whatever. Like, oh yeah, he probably is a racist, he probably is that or whatever, but he's the only one that's going to protect us. Well, if that's somebody's paradigm, how are you going to change that? That's how they're seeing this. It's like, our country is in danger. He's the only one with the chutzpah to do something about it. So we'll put him in the White House. So really, politics comes down to winning the hearts and minds of people. Can you make somebody see what you see? Can they see the country the way that you're seeing it? Well, you look at the whole ISIS thing. Clearly, these people don't see the world that you and I are seeing. So, when people say we're going to bomb the hell out of them, like, where are you going to bomb them? They're not a country. They're a network of people all over the world. So it's not that easy. You don't just go in and bomb and say we're done. You've got to deal with, why do these people see the world the way that they see it. Until that's dealt with, that's just, the situation will never get better. So really, everything comes down to perception. The light of the body is the eye. And if you're, King James is single, but the better translation is healthy. If your eye is healthy, if your perception is healthy, your whole body will be filled with light, or your whole life will be enlightened, is really what the original language says. So everything, you say, well, this is my reality. Your reality is what you see your reality is. The physicists are right. It is an observer effect. Whatever you observe is manifesting as your reality. And again, I know we've discussed these things, but we're learning. We're having to learn. I'm having to continually learn. Look at your life this way. Francis, I don't know what your motivation is, but I look how many times you'll use, when you use a meme, they'll say life is good, love your life, whatever. I use a lot of those too. And I think it's a reminder, but like this week I stayed off Facebook because I didn't need an outlet. Do you know what I mean? There's sometimes, if you're so full of something, there's nothing I can post that's not going to, this thing I'm going through is going to inform that. And I don't want to put whiny posts. I don't want to put victimized posts. I don't want to put anger posts. So I just quiet. My inbox is so full. If you're any of the inbox people, I'll get to you when I can, but I've just been off it because I thought I don't need, I'm only safe with a microphone today. I needed one more day to, move towards healing. I thought, 3 days ago, you wouldn't, I'd have walked in here with a cigarette and said something like, you think your situation's bad? It's much worse than you thought. I'm going to tell you something about paradigm. You would not have wanted. It's like, I got to shut up. It's like a few years ago, but this place where I live, we actually bought it many, many years ago for investment, and I've lived there for a few years now. But back in the day, when I didn't live there all the time, sometimes if I would come in like from a flight or something, somebody would inevitably be in my parking space. And if that's the case, you can have that person towed. But I thought, no, you know what? I'm not here all the time. I don't want to ruin somebody's day. So one day I came in from an early flight and I had an appointment in Atlanta a couple hours later. So I thought, well, I'll just go by the loft and I'm go take a nap and then I'll go do my appointment. So I pull in and somebody's in my parking space. Gotta be kidding. So if you got to park there, because if you don't park there, you'll park somewhere and they'll tow you. And believe me, they will. Ken has been booted twice and towed twice. So we're on it. Make sure we got every decal, everything that you need. And so I asked the concierge. I said, somebody's in my space. He said, do you want to have them towed? I said, no, because in fairness, I'm not here all the time, so probably somebody doesn't realize that it's mine. I said, I'm only gonna be here for a couple hours. If you'll let me park somewhere, I'll be fine. He said, all right, I'll keep an eye on it. He said, you just park over here, just parallel, and I got you. I said, okay, that's great. So I go take my nap. I wake up, walk up. They have towed my car because the new concierge came in and the other one didn't tell him. I was so mad. I was on the elevator with a bunch of people. I said, let me tell y'all something. Y'all believe in karma? Karma schmarma. If you're ever thinking about doing a good deed for somebody, forget that. Bump that noise, because ain't nothing good comes out of doing a good deed. You better look out for yourself, because ain't nobody else gonna look out for you. It's all about you. I mean, I was thinking, I've done such a good deed. I could have towed this guy. They ended up towing me. I mean, it was bad. I needed to be locked up that day. I mean, I was like finding young people. Hey, kid, come here. You thinking about doing good stuff for people in your life? Forget it. Look out for yourself. I needed something. And I finally got in. The building, refunded my $150 it takes to get your car out of being towed. But the whole time, and it took them like a month. And I'm like, "Ugh." On that particular day, I wasn't much into paying it forward. The guy that you saw here the other day, pay it forward. Put it out there in the universe, and it'll come back to you. Not that day. I was like, I tell you what you can put out in the universe. And don't judge me. You've been there too. So I'll end it with this. I'm glad I came today. I'm glad you're here. I love you very much. Let's all stand. See your life good. See your situations good, and they will become good. We've talked about this before. Jesus said, seek first the kingdom. The very fact they use the word seek means it's not really obvious. You have to, remember you played hide and seek, you had to go look for the person. You've got to look for, where's the good in this situation? Where's the kingdom? So let's run this, and then we'll officially dismiss. And then what? What are we doing? All right, y'all go ahead and move it in. Go ahead and run this. We'll multitask.
Contributing to Metron is quick and easy. Simply text the amount you would like to give to 404-620-5044. And now you can give anytime by texting this number. You will then receive a one-time registration form that links your phone number and opens your account at SimpleGive. Complete the form, and you will then receive a successful registration and donation page. For additional information on your account, visit bishandthenow.com and click the Support tab. Then, My Online Donation. When you contribute to Metron, you're also supporting the charity or organization of the month.
Which I don't know what it'll be this one. I'll find something.
Thank you for your investment in Metron.
If you have a check, make it to JESM, and Danny will be back there to receive it. If you have cash, just keep it for yourself. Don't pay it forward. It ain't worth it. Just go buy yourself something. Somebody asks you for something, say, you're on your own. That's my message for today. You judge it for yourself. Well, this is sweet of you in your disobedience. Oh, look, a cute little chocolate cake. Chocolate mousse cake. Adorable. All right. Well, hold it up. I'll hold it and get a picture. Y'all can sing happy birthday to me. I think you can help yourself. Those of you that are logging on, thanks for being with us.